farmer. Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean. Obomi Hills to Boakai. To educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah. Focus on Liberia. For Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Reliable information. History. Talking about culture. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we're broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Today is March 22nd, 2024, meaning this is 2 months since President Boakai and his team took office, the rescue mission. We are commemorating 2 months of the Joseph Newman Boakai administration, and so we're going to be looking at how he's doing, or how the administration is doing after 2 months, and how far or close are we to delivering the 100 days deliverable. But a lot of things have been happening, current issues, a lot of them have been happening. So we're going to look at all of them within the context of 2 months of the Boakai presidency. We want to welcome all our viewers across the globe. Let me welcome Mr. Jimmy Eastbound, who's joining us from the nation's capital. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, Dennis. Glad to be a gentleman on the panel. It's a pleasure to be discussing these items with you. I'm looking forward to it.
Let me welcome the unapologetic, unabashed, and uncompromising citizen, Mr. Jerome Gilman. Well, his former chairman started a new group for War Crimes Code. Let's see where Mr. Gilman is this time. Mr. Gilman, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor being with you guys.
Let me also welcome Mr. J. Victor Nawe, the longtime progressive. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be here.
And let me welcome all our viewers from across the globe. We are commemorating 2 months of Joseph Newman Boakai administration. I want us to, but we have a lot of current issues, a lot of things have been happening that I want us to look at quickly, even as we commemorate the Joseph Newman Boakai presidency. You bear with, you see, first is the draft national budget is out. Daily Observer described it as strong mix of savings, cuts, and growth. So that's number one we're going to be discussing. That's the budget. The draft budget is out. We also know that the Unity Party supporters in Nimba County, they threatened a protest. They say, well, we put you to power, but we are not feeling it. You are not giving us jobs. And so we're going to be talking about that. So everything we will talk today, Prince Johnson now is complaining. And in fact, he's endorsing other people outside Unity Party candidates in the runoff or in the by-elections in Nimba County to replace Vice President Jeremiah Cohn. Also, Moba Molu, the former CDC chair, now he's going back to a group called STAN, and they will be advocating for war crimes court. Surprise, surprise? Well, politicians shouldn't surprise you anymore. We will also talk about President Boakai has mandated the GAC to audit the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs, and he has withdrawn the audit for the NSA. What does that mean? So we're going to be discussing all of these things within the context of President Boakai's administration being 2 months old. Jimmy, the administration today is 2 months old, but let's start with the budget. We have the draft national budget. We read it. Many of the people that support President Boakai, including Senator Darius DeLong, is saying, hey, Boakai had this, Josh Weah had this, and Boakai had this. I know you read the budget. You saw it. What's your impression? What jumps out of you? Are we, closer to where we want to be?
I saw significant cuts in the allotments to the Senate Pro Temp, the House Speaker, and I thought that was good, at least because I mean, given how much the budget is, how much we have available for on investment, I didn't think it was a very wise budget. I looked at that budget as we're not going nowhere, because the only way we are going to change the circumstances in Liberia is to make significant investment in our youth, in our industries, and that's the only time we will have more jobs and more opportunities. Our economy is too dependent on government jobs, and we have to move away from this dilemma. However, the only way to move it is to invest, and we're not investing. So it's same old, same old. So even though there were some moving away cuts in the allotments to these positions, there wasn't significant redirection of funds toward investment. I would like to see, it has to be far more aggressive, or we're not going to be very far. And lastly, I will end with this. I don't think Liberian people are as patient as they were before. I believe they are getting more and more aware of certain things, and they're tired with it. So I think if this administration is not careful, they will see series of protests early in their game, and unless they can address the dire situations that they inherited, it's going to be a rough road. That's all I can say. It's going to be a real rough road.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman. What's your impression about the budget? Especially, many of the pundits are comparing 2023 and 2024. Comparing the two, what did you come away with? On mute.
Those of us who operate large budgets, we find that to be a smooth screen. There are two kinds of budgets where we are. We have something called the actual budget and the proposed budget. 2023 budget under George Weah, President Weah, former President Weah, will be an actual budget because it's something that they have actually done. The budget under President Boakai is a proposed budget. It is not real. So you cannot compare the two. For instance, they may propose that we have a $680 million. That budget is only a projection. We are not sure whether the money that they are projecting that will be raised domestically will happen. They are not sure whether grant and supplementary income promised by other countries whether those money are going to come, because remember, everything is predicated on their budget, their income as well. So whenever either one of those line items fall through, we are also going to fall through. That's why you saw the last time when Mr. Kamara was here, he had this one where he called $42 million budget shortfall. The reason for that was you make all these glamorous projections, and then time comes, the revenue is not there. So you cannot compare 23 and 24. 23 is an actual budget, something that we have done. Is we can look at it is palatable. 24 is a projection, so we cannot make those comparisons. But anyhow,
we didn't actually see the budget outcome, because after at a time, all we know of 2023 is it was also a projection. After it was implemented, we don't know what happened. So we can't.
Whatever number that come out of the budget, when you see recast, when you hear recast, means that they have had some budget shortfall, money that was supposed to come in won't come in. So whatever you see from 2023 is actual numbers. Those are numbers that can be verified to some degree.
How? Because at the time after using the budget now, after 2023, do we have any report to say, well, we projected to receive 100 million, we actually got 200 million? We don't get that. We don't get such report in Liberia, right?
Well, we do when you look at the past performance. If you look at the budget that was according to the incoming government, what they inherited was what was left over from the previous government. But like you say, we don't have outcome and performance gauges. But on the other hand, when you look at what just happened, for an administration, for a government that was coming to power, whose mantra, the number one pillar in that arrest is agriculture. I think Boakai said he has lived and worked in that sector all his life, and that making Liberians self-sufficient in food and agricultural production. In fact, he said this is where the employment opportunities will come from. This is where we can put a lot of people to work. You saw how much he put into agriculture. I think the difference he put there was like, I think $5 million. So you know very well that was just a political talk. When we are talking about creating jobs and expanding and Liberia being self-sufficient, $5 million is basically a joke. So this is where we are when we say, people are now telling you, don't hold us to the 100-day deliverable, because it basically, we have not even developed that yet. So you don't even have it. Ms. Fofana said it, they are working on it. So there's no such thing. You can't hold them to anything other than what they call political talk.
Thank you. Mr. Nambe from the Observer or Liberian Observer said the draft budget shows a growth rate of 5.3% in 2024, which is expected to increase to 6.0% in the medium term 2024-2026, up from 4% experienced in 2023. Listen to this. A substantial portion of the budget, 93%, is allocated to recurring costs, marking a significant increase from the previous year. So this budget now sees a dramatic uptrend of recurring costs from the previous year. 80%, it has now gone to 93%, right? So it rises to this, which represents 93%. So that's just a tidbit of the budget. What's your impression?
Well, yeah, I am really, since I read that, I've been wondering how they intend to grow the budget, because as you indicated, 93% going to recurring costs. You're talking about salaries, you're talking about vehicles, that kind of thing, right? And like Jerome and Jimmy are saying, I can't tell you what statement this budget is making, because usually you determine the statement that the budget is making or the administration is making based on where they put the money. Yes, there's some cuts, to a few places, the legislature, the Ministry of State, and I understand that, but it seems as though, this government, the the president is he's doing what during the 2020 election season here. They used to say it is not sufficient just to tell the electorate I'm not Trump, so elect me. You have to. It has to be more than that. And this president, it is not sufficient just to be a nice guy. I think he's being nice. I get it. But hey, this is your maiden budget. This budget is supposed to make your statement. He came in. He said he will address our unfortunate youth who are in the streets, and I think they gave the DEA I think $200,000 or something like that. What are they going to do with $200,000 to help clean the drugs off the streets? You're talking about $100 million worth of drugs coming into the country. One of the things which is a fact is you pay the president well, they will produce efficient and competent performance. The people who will be seizing these drugs, you have to remove the temptation, for bribes and all of that. So you're giving them $200,000 to fight, people who are importing $100 million drugs. How do you expect that to happen? So I honestly don't know how they expect to grow this budget. As we're getting ready to come on air, I was hearing something about the budget being revised. I think up to $750 million now or so. I think they forgot to put some things in or whatever it is. So this is a proposed, but it's a draft.
But Mr. Nimba, sorry to interrupt you. If you are talking about the statement it's making, right?
Right.
So the health ministry budget is increased. Agriculture has increased.
Correct.
So education also increased. So
yes.
The statement there is President Boakai is prioritizing these sectors.
I get that, Dennis, but would you say that is a real bold statement? I mean, how much did they get education ministry? $7 million, right? I think that's the additional increase from 98 million to I think 105 or something like that, right? $7 million.
So A.B. Darrell DeLong posted that the Ministry of State reduced from 20 million to 9, the Office of the President from 4 to 2 million,
right?
The Vice President for 4 also to 2 million, legislators from 67 to 38 million, and so on and so forth. Then the Ministry of Education increased by, let's say, 7 million. The University of Liberia budget increased by 2 million.
2 million.
The agriculture sector increased by 1 million.
Exactly.
And the health sector increased by 11 million.
Exactly.
What is prioritizing those areas?
Exactly. So here's my thing, because I'm in education, I follow the education, ministry. And when the minister that came in, one of the first statements that she made was to lament the gross underfunding of the education sector, right? So you're giving them additional $1 million or $2 million. Is that what is really going to fill the gap? Right now, she's on a nationwide tour. So yes, they did little token increment here and there, but compared to the problem at hand, Dennis, I won't call that a statement-making increment. No, I won't. So hopefully now that they're revising the budget, let's see what the final budget is going to come up with. But for now, the $692 million, it doesn't really. It's a flat. It doesn't really do much to address the problems at hand.
Thank you. And Jimmy, I want you to conclude on this so we can move on to our next step. Is recover, 93 million on that's the one on recurring expenses.
Right.
So let's see what is put into capital, what is put into investment. So it tells us here that 2023, when President Weah administration had a special drawing right, and they have some money to play with, the budget was 621 million, and the one they spent on investment, right, 150.2 million. Now with the Boakai budget, we have a 640 million. The budget went up, but then the spending on investment has reduced by 100 million, from 150 million to 51.8 million. Jimmy, what does this tell us? And why is this happening?
Okay, because a couple of reasons it could be happening. One is they've been increasing. Hello? You there?
Yeah, go ahead.
They've been increasing the debt. So if you notice there, the amount spent on investment was about 25% of what was spent on the recurring, and the latter was about not even 12%. You know, it had reduced significantly. So if we're accumulating debt, and this is the mistake every single administration makes, if we're borrowing to pay salaries, we are putting ourselves in greater and greater debt. We cannot borrow to pay salaries. The only time we should borrow is to invest. And therefore, you find yourself making higher debt servicing as the years go by, because you're not generating more revenue. You're not building the economy. You're simply paying salaries that you and being unproductive. If you find yourself in a position that you cannot pay salaries, that means your payroll is too big. If you cannot pay salaries, that means there's no production going on in the country to justify the salary. In other words, Dennis Ja, I agree to pay you $150,000 a year, but you don't do anything that's worth $150,000. So why am I paying you $150,000? I should let you go be productive somewhere else. And we repeat that same thing because we're afraid of the negative sentiment of allowing people to go, and forgetting that if we don't put them in active productive work, we really doing all of us a disfavor. So our debts are just mounting because the administration have not found the solution to grow the economy, and they are borrowing to pay for no production. So we lose. It's a lose-lose situations, and they're not. And the people are keep on electing the same kind of people. It's not going to change until we start electing somebody who can completely change the scenario.
Thank you, Mr. Gayman. Just 30 seconds each. Just your final on the budget. I mean, what can be done now? We're talking about 60 days into his presidency. So with this budget, where do you think we're going?
Well, it is saddening that we are going from 80%, which we thought were very high or recurrent expenses, which is benefits and all of that. We have returned to the early days. If you're spending 93% of your budget on paying yourselves and perks and benefits, and you got only 7% on roads and development in the country. I mean, basically, what we are doing here is what the old folks used to call, we are living to eat, and we're not eating to live. Because 7% of the budget going to development and investment, infrastructure. Are you kidding me? We're going from 80% when we thought 80% of recurrent expenses were very high. And then you went up to 93%. It is impossible for us now to see the completion of the roads that we were talking about, the new hospital, the new schools. It would be impossible to do this thing when you have no money at all. There's no money allocated for anything beyond expenditure, which is salaries and perks. Like they say, they are increasing salary in some areas. But if you say you cut $47 million and you increase the budget by $21 million, there is a deficit there. There's something going on. It baffles me.
Mr. Nawe.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jerome is right on. This is not business as usual as we had been promised. I don't know whether it was a smart move to bring back the Minister of Finance from the past government, because I thought they wanted to bring in someone who will bring a fresh perspective outside the box. But it looks like this budget is just the same old for the past 12 or 18 years, same kind of budget. And I agree with him. This president is making new proposals, he's erecting new agencies, the Asset Recovery Commission. All of these people have to be paid. So he's bringing in new expenditure, and yet the budget does counting. The budget captures all of these things. So I myself, I'm baffled by this budget. And again, like I said, since it's been recast, hopefully some of these things will be addressed.
It's been recast. I mean, it's still draft.
Yeah, no, when we were getting ready to come on air, some of the places I was hearing, I think they revising it to 730 to $750 million. It's been reported, but that is yet to be substantiated.
So probably they are making new projections about revenue.
Yes, they are making new projections. The report was that they I don't want to say forgot, but they did not factor in the AFL wives and other stuff that they may have forgotten to capture or whatever it is. But I understand it's been revised.
All right, let's go to our next issue here. Nimba County, Prince Johnson, and everything, because we see that Prince Johnson supported now President Boakai in the elections, and so Nimba was one of the battlegrounds, and the Unity Party won Nimba. So right now the Nimba people feeling that, hey, we made you president. So what we're hearing is, according to reports, that people of Nimba, they are complaining. The reports say they are complaining that the ruling party, they are not benefiting. And it's mainly just Vice President Kuhn and Prince Johnson benefiting. They are not benefiting. So they say, hey, so they are not happy. Prince Johnson, on the other hand, is kind of, every time he speaks, he talk about, he cried baby about the war crimes code. And so he's kind of falling out of favor with President Boakai. In the by-election schedule where someone is needed to replace Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, Prince Johnson is not endorsing the Unity Party candidate. You can see that he was in his church where he endorsed and and prayed for the Samuel Koka of the People Unification Party. He's a representative in Nimba. He's going for senator now, and that's the one Prince Johnson. He's the one Prince Johnson is endorsing. Right. This means that he's not endorsing the Unity Party candidate. Prince Johnson, Nimba County, 60 days. Victor.
It's a delicate balance that I think Senator Johnson is trying to walk. He is trying to balance his expectation from his constituents, as well as his maintaining the spirit of the collaboration. I read some of the reports. I saw the video that you played. I think it's a very difficult thing that he's trying to balance. It looks as though there seems to be concern over his role as the godfather of the county. I think he's worried about that. I think the challenges coming out. I listened to him. He said, a gentleman on whose head he's just placing his hand, Representative Koga. I heard he said the man has been disrespectful to him, but apparently they have been able to mend fences. And so this gentleman came, I think, to pay homage to him. So he seems to have taken him under his fold. But I read also the complaints from the Unity Party base in the county. I think they are complaining that the MDR is taking precedent over them.
Right.
And so we're back to the whole question of jobs. I think this is where the problem is coming from. And then I think the senator is also rattled by this whole talk of the war crime court. I believe that may not have been part of the deal when the collaboration was being negotiated. I think he's feeling blindsided. And so it's a very delicate balance that he's trying to walk, as I can see it.
Jimmy, what does this say about this whole people getting rewarded after elections? And if you are not, or people are expecting to get this, get that, if you don't get it, you can. And one of the criteria in getting employed in government is to be able to swim and bathe in the proverbial poo water.
Well, we can see by the appointments, right, that a lot of people are being rewarded for having supported the Boakai campaign. And Prince Johnson obviously has been complaining that he's not getting an just compensation. In other words, he said the only position he was awarded was the Minister of Labor in the person of Councillor Kupakra. And right now, he's not getting audience. He's not getting people not receiving his phone calls. So he is a power broker and trying to, make a king somewhere else. And that's what he has been doing. But I want to point out something, and that has been the problem with us. And I hope our Liberian people will hear me here. We think there's a political solution here. We elect one group, we elect this group, it's not, politics not solving our issues. And we can continue electing people. They're just going to be putting people in a position and nothing changes in the economy. We need to realize that the only way our situation is going to change is if we invest in ourselves, in our own economy. This politics it will not solve the problem, and it's not solving the problem. But as Prince Johnson may believe, this is where, he can, this is his playground. He knows how to play around, and he wants to move the needle in his direction. But that won't help the country. We need somebody who will help the country, and all what he's doing right now will not change a thing. It will not change a thing. If I were he, I'd be arguing for investment to go to Nimba, for more schools, for more factories, industries to go. But putting people in position, that's not going to help his people or his county. We need investment. And that's what we're supposed to be thinking about.
Mr. Gaiman, since the President Salif second round and Josh, we are one term, Prince Johnson had been king, right? And does it appear now that the fee day he had with President Salif and President Weah is only Boakai that is trying to break his wings?
Well, the gentleman is a political tactician. Those of us who have been against him, talking against him, even including the United States, sanctioning and condemning, and the guy still stands. So you can't take him lightly. He is very, very much unreliable. He could tell you yes today, and before you turn your back, it becomes no. But he has played his game well. I think what he's trying to do there now is to recapture the Godfather mantle from this victory now. People in the Unity Party finally had some guts to say, we had a presidency, now we should be enjoying. And this is Prince Johnson trying to tell them, listen, not too fast. This is MDCL, how they call it, new party.
MDR. MDR.
This is MDR territory here. And anybody who comes from the Unity Party, any other party that wants to come and bring dominance is not going to work. So here he is now telling Joseph Boakai, you and the Unity Party, not because you have won the presidency mean you had dominion over Nimba County. I am still the king, and I'm going to show you who I am. This is what this is all about. This man is a one-trick pony. He doesn't worry about winning in Bond County, in Lofa County, in Grand Bassa County, Montserrat. His only concern is winning and holding on to Nimba County. Like I said, he's a one-trick pony. He will not allow Nimba County to slip through his hand to go to Unity Party. So he telling these guys, you can forget it. United Party could not have won Nimba County. It was I who went from door to door and gave him my blessing, like I'm doing this man. Put my hand on top of his head and blessed him and say, just the photo, just the symbolism of Nehemiah looking at Prince Johnson, putting his hand on this fool that kneeling down. Can you imagine a father, somebody's husband, somebody's uncle is doing this? This is the man who is supposed to be leading a people. But because he is so desperate that he will go and bow down, a man, a father, somebody's husband, doing it to himself. This tells you that if you are in it for the nation, like Jimmy said, this is not it. This is now the classical politics, real politics, which is politics of interest, self-interest. So these guys are politicians. They are rational utilitarian. It's all about themselves. It's not about the nation. Look at the national budget. The national budget has only 7% of the total budget allocated to the nation and 93% to themselves. So that tells you that these people do not mean well for this country.
Victor,
Dennis, if I may,
yeah, hold on, Victor. Someone told me, say, well, even if Weah has won, Prince Johnson was still going to go to the war crimes court. His days of having this sway over Nimba, those days are over, and so he's getting old, and he's losing that popularity. So hey, Boakai can just discard him, and he's done.
yeah, Dennis, that's exactly where I was going. Jerome mentioned the word tactician, and those of us who follow politics a lot, Prince Johnson is a tactician. I don't think it would be a mistake to overlook. Look, several attempts have been made to chip away at his influence over Nimba. I mean, in recent past, my friend Larry Onkwe, he tried. We saw what the CDC did with Jefferson Koji and all these people. They went in there. Yes, he has taken a couple of losses, but in the net is he has come out. I mean, look, for the first time, the vice president is from Nimba. I mean, no matter how many losses he has taken in recent times, I think that reinforces the position. So I think he really, right now, I am not sure if the UP people who are complaining, whether they're spontaneously complaining or there's something going on from the UP higher up to kind of to undermine Prince Johnson. I don't know this, but they want to be very careful. Like it or not, but he plays his cards, he plays them very well, and he almost always comes out in the end victorious. So what is developing in Nimba, yes, the complaints are being made, they're not getting enough, and all of that, he's trying to handle it, whether all of it is going to MDR or whether the entire Nimba is enjoying, whether the Gil people are enjoying more than the amount of people, the B people, and all of that. I think, like I said, he's playing a delicate balance, but they have to take real good care how they deal with this, or else they could have a real problem on their hands.
All right. Thank you. That takes us to our next issue here. You might have read in the news, Madam Kamina Sifos Yeke, the Deputy Director General of the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation, has been fired for gross insubordination to the office of the president. Mr. Gaiman, we know the story. A group of eminent citizens, according to the chairman of the UP, went, and people saw that, and they said they had a letter for the president. The current head of NASCO needed to go. That was resisted by the deputy director, Kamina Sifos Yeke, and because of that, she's being fired for gross insubordination. Is a firing justified, Mr. Gaiman?
No, absolutely not. I think the lady is well versed, very qualified. I think she's a lawyer herself. and she noted why she was doing what she did. She says the standard operational procedure here is, if I'm fired or appointed, I get a letter from the White House or the executive mansion. A call is made to me. A copy of that letter is sent, and that letter or that announcement is posted on the executive mansion e-mansion website. Make it official. There's a transition period where people come in and then we go through all of those things. None of that happened. So the lady was saying, listen, this is how it works. People don't just walk to the office and say, I am now in charge, turn everything over to me. This is not how it is done professionally. Secondly, she's a tenure person as well. And if Boakai want to create a job and saying, finally, because the law says the person has to be fired for cause. So is Joseph Boakai, is the administration now taking this opportunity to say, aha, we got you. We're looking for cause. Remember the guy who they went there to replace. They are not firing him, Mr. Famambus. They are not firing him. They are not removing him. But they are picking on the woman who said, this is not a standard procedure. So now this is also going to be headed to court. And they're going to pay her for the remainder of her term because that's what the law says. There is no way around it. Like Victor said earlier, when you see the bloating of the budget from 80 million, from 80% to 93% recurring, the salaries are coming from the asset recovery team of 20 men and women. Where that salary comes from? Then we talk about another group that is put together for war and economic crime court, and they are setting all of these extra agencies that require salaries. So this is where the money is going. So it is time for Joseph Boakai to pay those who worked but were not appointed in these large agencies. So they find somewhere to put them, and they come with an overhead. This is where this is all about. So yes, getting rid of Ms. Cephas. It is a small screen. They're going to pay her. It's going to go to some remediation, and she's going to be paid because this is illegal. They can't do that.
Jimmy, this whole tenure thing still can go away. And let's look at the firing of Madame Yeke. You think the president has a point here? Jimmy?
I think it's another bad move. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think it's another bad move. Because the reason she gave was clear, that the appropriate way of replacing the managing director has to be followed for her to be able to make the changes. And there was nothing wrong with that. You know, people in this country are praised who follow operation procedure. When you tell somebody no and they investigated that you told them no, even though they may have been superior to you, but you told them no because you're following standard operating procedures, you are lifted up because you are proving your discipline, you are proving you know the rules and regulations, and you're not going to stand down by somebody trying to exercise some power over you. If we do not allow our people to stand for what is right, we are crippling them. We are making them, we're weakening them. We're creating that same type of administration where a long time ago people say, you know who I am. It wasn't about law and order. It wasn't about rules and regulations. It was always about, you know who I am. And we are perpetuating this thing. One of the things that was said there, we are people of eminence, superior, high priority people. When is the rule of law going to be supreme? When is consideration for a human being going to supreme in our lives? I can't understand why we are repeating these things over and over. Since 1980, there's nothing that's changed. We're continuing this "you know who I am" mentality. And as a matter of fact, I agree totally with Nama do it. They're going to end up paying that lady, because I don't see any grounds from what she did to fire her. I don't think she did anything against the law, but follow. In fact, what she did was according to the rules and regulations of the very same tenure positions that that those guys instituted. You know,
And Victor, I don't think gross insubordination is one of the reasons that a turning official can be removed. So I don't know what President Boakai is doing with this tenure thing.
Exactly, and it's not insubordinate to follow the rules. That's not insubordination. If you tell, you know, in the army, you know what they say? They say assignment higher than rank. In other words, if I'm assigned here and they told me no one is to go through here, absolutely no one, and I'm a buck private, you can be a 2-star general, you will not go through there, because that is my assignment. Now, until we start protecting people who honor the rules and regulations, we're going to be compromised as a people. We're not going to have an administration that knows how to self-govern and sustain itself.
Thank you, Victor.
Yes.
Your friend Sam Wallow say insubordination falls under performance. I don't know how performance. Isn't that subjective?
But who makes that determination? The president has no ombudsman. How do we make that determination? But let me say this. In addition to everything that Jimmy and Jerome have said, figure this out. The president appointed Councilor Kane to replace Von Bamus, right? But then on March 18, what does he do? He appoints Von Bamus to the board, as secretary to the board. So what does that mean? Is he retaining him, or has he replaced him? Isn't that in the grand scheme of the confusion that we're living of the Boakai government? So this lady she and Von Bamus were hired at the same time. They were hired in 2022. They got 5 years tenure. So I don't know how they will unravel this, but the president keeps digging himself into this, and I don't understand why he would not pull back on this tenure replacement thing, because it is messy. He would do well to stop now, give him more consideration, and take his time. Yes, I hear, I read what Mr. Wallow wrote, but who's the judge? She has to be put through the due process, right? And like Jimmy is saying, I think she should be commended for actually doing her job. If people come to the office with nothing, they come with the claim that they're eminent citizens. What makes Tappet an eminent citizen? Because he led a protest on his own president's house. That one makes him an eminent citizen. So they have to be very careful. This president, one of the things that he sold us on, for which I think many people gravitated towards him, is his experience in government. But he doesn't seem to know government. I think we'll come to it, but look, he is decommissioning some of the audits that he had authorized. Did he not think through this thing before he made these pronouncements? So they continue to make these rookie unforced errors, and they're not learning from their mistake. They continue to double down, and it's really going to bother them. So I think this lady, the dismissal, I think it was politically motivated. I don't know what kind of performance evaluation Mr. Wallow is going to show that will qualify as gross insubordination. They came to her office with no letter in hand, nothing, no proof of what they came to tell her. She said she saw no written communication, no announcement, nothing on the executive mansion's website. So why was she going to go on to accept these people as her boss's replacement? And she knew the man had tenure, just like she did. So I think the dismissal, I am not sure if she's not going to sue on this and go to court and probably win them.
Now, real quick before you go, the Supreme Court has put a stay order on Joseph Boakai's attempt to dismiss tenure officers. So, like most people say, that is a settled law because it was Joseph Boakai and the former president, their administration. They wrote the bill. They made the law. It passed into law, into handbill, establishing these positions. And real quick, for those of you who have served as CEO or executive director of big organization, I am the executive director where I work. I become automatically the secretary to the board. So every time that the board of directors meet, I am the secretary to the board. So if Joseph Walker knew better, or those guys knew better, the CEO of NASCO is automatically the secretary to the board. The president of the university is the secretary to the board. That's how it works. So you can't fire him and give him a promotion to go become secretary to the board. To be secretary to the board, you have to be
exactly
head of an institution. That's the head of the institution is usually the secretary to the board.
Right. We want more and more GNB people to come on the show and kind of explain some of these things because
they will throw us on the show. They will write their comments.
Good luck, Dennis. You remember?
Yeah. We were expecting 2 tonight, but they didn't show up.
I thought Livingston was coming on. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Most of them say we want to give Boakai 6 months before they can really criticize or do something.
No, but
the next thing I want us to cover is President Boakai has mandated GAC to audit the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs. At the same time, he decommissioned the one he had for NSA. Say, I don't know whether this was he realized that security, these areas classify information, and so he can't audit them. So he said he withdrew that. And now they want to audit Ministry of State. Right. And the deputy for administration, Cornelia Tukba, said the goal of the audit is to enhance efficiency and effectiveness within the ministry. I don't know if Madam Tukba and the president are on the same wavelength.
You know, Dennis, and I alluded to it earlier. So first of all, this president was vice president for 12 years, right? He understands how the NSA is dealt with by heads of states. So, and this is what I am saying confuses me. So he gets up, and again, in the grand scheme of things of being the Mr. Nice Guy, he makes all these flowery statements. He's going to audit them, and then the reality hits that these people undertake, such sensitive operations. You don't just audit them, but did he not know that before? Or if he really wants to audit them, then he should have thought of a way around it. Could he have given the auditors the sufficient security clearance that will give them the authority to see these sensitive documents? So I don't know which is worse: the fact that he made this pronouncement and realizing later on that he can't do it, or the fact that he did not do his homework and made his announcement. Now he has to reverse it. It's very embarrassing. I don't know what is going on here. Yeah, I understand there were 730 names, in the Ministry of State and all that. But some of the weird people were arguing that some of these people were consultants. Yeah, they were not on the payroll, but they were doing work for which they were being legitimately paid. So is that what they're auditing? Maybe that's what they're auditing. But it sounded like the president was calling for a forensic audit of the entire ministry. So, many of us are left scratching our heads.
And let me also add before you come in, Jimmy, that the NSA, they got, I think it's a 10 million in the budget. So not only that the president is withdrawing that audit, but the allocation is way up there. Because when you compare, I got to look at the number again. When you compare the NSA to the police or the army, NSA is way higher than them, right? Way higher. So you were going to audit them. So is it like the weird thing as usual, or what's going on? Because if you said you were going to audit the NSA, we were kind of okay. I mean, with all this security thing, I think every agency, every group, every organization, every entity that gets 10 cents from the government should be audited. But he backpedaled and then give them almost the same money that we have government give them. What's going on?
You know, security agencies like the NSA have to have its own internal oversight because of the sensitivity of the operations within these organizations. They're not treated the same way as other government organizations. Notwithstanding, there is still oversight. So if he needed that the NSA make a count of what they've been doing, what they've been spending, they should have a board, a panel that has oversight over the expenditures of that organization.
So Jimmy, quickly, 2002, NSA was 11 million. 2023, 8 million, and then the outturn budget that was 28 million. The same 2023. 2024 is 10.9 million. It's projected to 6.9 million in 2025 and 8.6 in 2026. That's the NSA. Just wanted to mention that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let me just cut this short. What this administration, what the president will have to come to realize, he's going to have to probably reform a lot of these organizations that have been functioning as they do, because the NSA has to have some oversight within it that you can call whoever's responsible for that and say, how has this money been appropriated? And if it does not have it, then you have to make significant changes to the whole makeup of the NSA. We cannot, if he wants to make a change here, he's going to really have to change the way we've been doing things in the past. It cannot be business as usual. If it will be business as usual, then we're going to get the results as usual. So if there's something he's seen in the NSA that he needed an account, he calls whoever it is responsible, of the group of responsible. If nobody's responsible, then you put in motion a plan to reformulate the whole NSA so they are accountable for what they're doing. Similarly, with any other organization he's taken over, he's going to have to make significant changes. And I don't think they realize. So I would give them a pass right now, because if down the road you haven't realized that you need to make a complete reorg of many of these things, or do things in a completely different way, then you'll have no one to blame. But it is kind of early, and I don't think they've done enough an assessment yet. And I think the audit for the Minister of State, I believe that they may need to trying to remove some people off the payroll. We know that very well. A lot of these people that were hired in the last 6 years were party loyalists.
But President Boakai too, he got what? 2 deputy minister without portfolio.
So it's a change of the guard. It's a change. A lot of it's just a change.
He has a business manager too, who I think was not an active person on the payroll.
Well,
and at the same time, remember it was 20 million reduced to what, 6 or 8 million? So I'm looking at what's going on with this Minister of State.
Well,
according to the Deputy Minister for Administration for Efficiency.
That is one of the reasons why most of us are gleefully discussing these issues, is because we're on these shows and we're telling you from an administrative standpoint that Joseph Boakai had no administrative experience. He worked side by side by folks, but he had never, and from my own internal interview with people who supervise him, that the gentleman lacks initiative
Right.
He is not one of those
Mr.
things.
Gamen, to be fair to him, given where we're coming from, given we are, right? This became an improvement.
No. I mean, how can you say this? How can you say a budget that had 80% recurrent expenditure, and we frown upon it, and it went from 80 to 93, and you say it's an improvement?
No, I'm talking about we are.
No, but we are high 80%.
Did we are really know what he was doing?
Let's look at the numbers.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Did we are really know what he was doing?
Let's look at the numbers. Don't put sentiment into it. Let's look at the numbers.
No, I'm not looking at that.
Let's debate the numbers here. We have 80% recurrent expenditure, and we say it was too high. 20% went to investment and infrastructure development. In the Boakai administration, it had gone from 80 to 93% in benefits and salaries. And you say it's an improvement? No. Did you see this much confusion, disorder, and chaos in the previous 3 administrations? No. This is not an improvement. This is a setback, an embarrassment. For people who say they have PhD in administration, somebody said I have 46 years in administrative work. In fact, it was Anthony Cassidy that said they are so qualified. Between Coleman, Boakai, Gay, Grisby, and somebody, he said they have over 270 years of administrative experience. This is what Anthony Cassidy said. They have over 200 years combined of leadership, administrative governmental experience. If you bring 200 years of experience to this job and you perform it this terribly, compared to where we had no administrative experience, never worked in government, then you are actually cutting Joseph Boakai short. 200 years compared to no 0 year. These people are performing, and I want to also blame Jimmy Eastman for keep giving them a pass. Every time they fall short, he says, let's give them a pass, let's wait. But we're talking about 200 years of experience, according to Joseph Boakai and his office. If you didn't give a man, you said, okay, President Weah didn't have any administrative experience. He knows nothing about government. This is why we are having problems. We are bringing in 200 years of experience. And now you are saying,
Jerome.
Now you are saying we should give you another year to make it 201 years.
Let me put down my UPP brother here. If the recurring expenditure is $297 million, remember this
No, it said 93%.
Yeah, 93%. That $297 million is what is it? No, 43%. Well, I wanted to talk about the $297 million, which I think is just salaries, right? The point I'm making is the President Weah's 2022 budget was, I think, $785 million. Now you're taking the percentage. So if you take the current amount and take it as a percentage of $785 million, I'm sure it would not be 93%. That's the point I'm trying to make. Boakai's recurring expenditure is 93% of $692 million. But if you took that same amount and divided by $785 million, I'm sure it is not going to be 90. It's going to be lower than 93%. That's the point I'm trying to make. So this budget they're proposing is smaller. And that is why the expenditure, the percentage of the expenditure for recurring expenditure seems to be a little higher.
Well, we go by their numbers.
Yeah, of course.
Their numbers is what I'm going by. Their numbers say 93% of the budget. Their total budget is recurring expenses. Okay, total.
Thank you. We gotta move on. We still got a few more to cover here.
Okay.
We got a few more to cover here before at the end of the day. So Jefferson Koji slammed the asset recovery team has reckless arrangement and urges former officials to resist it. Mr. Gaiman.
Yes, I think you see when these people were campaigning, everybody talk about experience and the rule of law, policy, and procedure. When you talk these things, when you set the expectation, when you set the bar, and you say because of our own experience and our knowledge This is how government's supposed to work. And everybody expect that you are coming in with law and order organization.
Asset recovery now.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, asset recovery. Yeah. Asset recovery, you and I were here, we went through asset recovery with Stanton Weatherspoon. You are found guilty of something, and then the state decides to sell your assets to recover, okay? To recover what you stole or what you have done. It's not the opposite. You cannot go to Stanton Weatherspoon's house and take his stuff and say, because you came to the United States from a refugee camp in Bujumbura, now you live in these homes, we're going to take your home. That's not how it works. So this is what he is talking about. If you do not give me the process, the due process of law, and you come to my house and say, I'm going to take your car, I'm going to take your home, I'm going to take your whatever it is you have here, I'm going to resist. And I think I trust him, and I believe him, and I support 100% if you are not going to go through the process of law and order. If you are not going to give me the due process of law, and you're going to come, like Weatherspoon and other people are doing, publishing people's home addresses and say, this man, Jimmy Eastman was here. This is a new home he has in this place. He stole his home. This is Nimba's new home he had in this place. He never had it when he came to, so people should go there and take it. If you are doing that, that is not law and order. That is gangsterism. That is being a Gestapo. And anybody who does that, Liberians should stand up and resist that, unless the court of law tells me.
But we are not there yet.
Yeah, but you said asset recovery.
Right. No, what I mean is, you said the group has not started working, and you said you should resist it because they're doing things, outside the code of law and all that. But how did Koji know that? But
listen to this: the Koji made a poignant point, and I think John Molu did the same thing, but he did the politically possibly deniability thing. Look at those who are on, like you say, we are going to do a drug bust in Washington, D.C. But then you have former drug dealers on there, and your only justification is, well, the man was a drug dealer, so you know where the drug was. The drug dealers are hiding. That is not the rule of law. And John Molu points out Mr. Coffey. Mr. Coffey had an allegation against him for major theft.
Where? Come on,
Gerald, FIU.
Gerald, show me.
I'm talking about what John Molu wrote, even though
no. John Molu denied writing that.
I understand this. this.
No.
Everybody understands that.
Let me factual when you are breaking somebody's name.
Yes. Okay. What we saw written that was denied by John Molu.
That was fake.
Well, I won't call it fake because I'm quoting it.
Who wrote it?
I'm saying here,
who wrote it?
Okay, what I'm saying here is, if his name has been mentioned, whether he was accused falsely or rightfully, he has to clear his name. Now look at other folks that are on that committee. Those are folks who were captured in audits, that they are tainted themselves, and we have those reports. And you take those people and you put them on a team, and you have a budget.
Who are the people that are tainted?
Listen, I'm going to go down the list. These people, the agency, you say they are working immediately. There are 20 men and women. There's a budget for them. Somebody is paying them. The Liberian government is paying them. They are being paid. They have an operational budget. These are positions that were never in the government. These are newly created positions. So yes, if they are being paid, they have to do something. And he just warning them that if you don't go through the law, the proper procedure, and you come to my house like they are doing now, just go to NASCAR and say, we are here to take over, turn off the key. If you do that, we're going to resist it. And I think he's right 100%.
Thank you. Jimmy, Koji.
I don't, I kind of wonder why, if somebody says they want to have asset recovery and I'm innocent, I really wouldn't give a hoot. So whenever whenever I hear people say they're going to audit or they're going for asset recovery, and then somebody starts making noise, I can wonder why. Are you guilty of something? Or then they say it's a witch hunt. I think that has to be looked over. We have to look at what method are they using, how far back they're going. And if they don't go any further back than the last administration, well, who will you blame? I don't have any problems with people who want to do audits, who want to do asset recovery. I have no problems with that. There's been a culture of impunity, and every one of us here on this panel knows it. It's the only way you will stop impunity if you make people accountable. So when people start getting antsy, soon as you start talking about audit, you start talking about asset recovery, I kind of wonder, I said, well, where is this going? But I think it's a step in the right direction, but they have to be legal and they have to be professional, and it has to have a standard of doing it. Maintain the standard. As long as they maintain the standard operating procedure to go about it, it is a good thing. So anyone else who wants to make noise, well, my answer is why. So I think it's a good thing in the right direction.
Thank you. Victor, anytime Prince Johnson hears about war crime codes, he start barking. Now, Koji, who's sanctioned, is saying, hey, when you want to asset recovery, we'll resist it. Same story like, when they made that.
I think that
water,
the actions
you won't carry a heavy bucket.
Dennis and these parables. But I think the actions to me are expressions of guilt. Mr. Koji is alleging witch hunt, but I listened to Edwin Clark-Martin. Incidentally, I know him very well. He's a Cotton buddy. What he said was the reason why they have to go back so many years and can't go beyond that is that there is a statute of limitation that allows them to go back not more than 5 years. I didn't know this. And so 5 years from this year cannot go into Ellen Johnson's administration. That is not possible without violating the law. What he said was when the Weah government came in and made him chairperson of the LACC, he told them on numerous occasions to revise the law so that he will have more areas to cover or more time to cover, and they did not do that. So if Jefferson knew that, I don't think he would be asking Clark-Martin to go back to the Ellen Johnson days. But like I said, the last time he came on and made these threatening incendiary remarks, I think he's all bluster, bloviating. He's not going to do a jink thing, he's not going to do anything. I think if anything, he's scared. He's worried that they will come after him, and like they should do so, because if he cannot prove how he got some of this wealth that he's flaunting and he should explain how he came into this wealth. I think the court is not there to only find people guilty; it is there to also exonerate people. So he should go in there and explain how he got his wealth, so he could be exonerated. If he cannot do that, then he may very well be they may have to reclaim some of that wealth from him. But all that standing and grandstanding and urging people not to comply and all of that, look,
right.
Nobody can be more powerful than the government. Maybe in Haiti now, but the government is that you can't be a citizen living in a country and you're challenging the government like he's doing.
Mr. Namwe, let me push back.
Hold on, Gilman, before you come in. I just want to mention that with the sanction on the heads of Koji and Tue and other CDC party officials, this is now they can travel. This is going to make them full-time opposition people. That's going to be tough on the government, right? And we're seeing that happen now.
They'll have more time to stay in country, right?
Right. They don't have anywhere to go. Probably Tue was expecting to follow the footsteps of previous finance ministers to work with World Bank or AU or somewhere. Now they are there. So they are full-time opposition, and it's going to be a problem for Joe Boakai, right, Gilman?
Well, yes, I'll come back to that, but let me address when he says nobody is more powerful than the state. The law is more powerful than the state. I think what we are saying here, if you have people who are not abiding by the law, as we are saying, where
explain that to me, Jerome. Who is not abiding by the law? Explain that to me.
let's look at what happened at NOSCO, right?
No, let's forget the tenure thing.
No, you can't forget it. That's the law.
No, I'm talking about the asset recovery thing.
But what we are saying here, I think Kwame Clement made it clear. He says when you are actually talking about the Constitution or citing the Constitution, please don't do it in isolation. You have to do it in its totality. So this is where we are. If Joseph Boakai is not following the law in removing people legally, where it's a law, written law, Joseph Boakai is not following the law when he said, before I get into office, my asset will be declared, and everybody that works with me will be. We have to
stop beating this.
No, I get that, Jerome, and that's why we're
listen to this. Joseph, but listen to me. So Joseph Boakai have established himself as to be a lawbreaker. So based on that, based on all of these things, Koji can say, if you're going to come to my house with your law-breaking attitude, I'm going to resist it. And he will be right. You have to go through the due process of law.
You will be wrong.
Thank you.
No, you have to go through the due process of law.
He should take his grievances to court and
the government should follow the law.
All right. Let's move on, because Koji, I think Koji is not going to do anything when they come to him.
No, he won't.
It's just
the government can't do
it. No, he won't.
The law wouldn't allow you to just go to somebody's house and say,
there's no law. There is nothing telling the asset recovery people to just go to people's houses.
No, I don't think he listened to the show. What Martin said was
based on what Joseph Boakai is doing now, that's what's going to happen. You saw where many people went to an office and say, "You turn the office over to me."
Right, and when they said no, did they force it? They went out, right?
Where they came back with vengeance.
So everything is within the law. If they have to grab Mrs. Yecker and throw her in jail, then we say, okay, it's not the law, but they went out and we say, okay, that's it.
And they violated the law by firing
her. But gentlemen, what has been going on, I don't know if y'all know this. The people who left the offices clear the offices.
Yes.
All the furniture and things like that.
That's the SOP, right?
That's it.
That's how all these people have been. Every time you leave, you clear the office.
But isn't that GSA responsibility to make sure those?
Yeah, but listen to this. I remember when Fangon, when they gave him his office, I saw the office. There was nothing in there. He had to go raise his own money to bring desks and chair and everything else. So when he's leaving, he can take them.
Which one? The one LBS or information?
The one information on OWIA. I don't know about LBS, but on OWIA, he had nothing. Not even a car. He had nothing.
And his deputy is D. Flomo.
What?
Deputy for Public Affairs is D. Flomo.
You mean at LBS?
At LBS.
You mean Flomo, the guy who can hardly speak English?
I don't know the Flomo who can hardly speak English. I know Flomo. But this takes us to John Molu. Momba Molu has organized his group called STAND, right? It's called the Movement Solidarity and Trust for a New, it's called Solidarity and Trust for a New Day, STAND. Solidarity and Trust for a New Day. And one of the eminent priorities, according to Molu, is to raise awareness for the establishment of a war and economic crimes court. STAND affirms its non-political stance and commitment as a registered civil society organization, firmly declaring its choice to remain independent from political party affiliation, and they will not endorse candidates. That's STAND. Mr. Nambe, Momba Molu and War Crimes Court. Mobile
Well,
Molu on the CDC when
yeah,
Ellen was in power. I mean, they were beating his score every day for war crimes code for the
yeah.
next 6 years. Nothing about war crimes code. Now he's back to war crimes code.
Yeah, and I'm happy for him for his come to Jesus moment. Look, the timing for him, I couldn't be any better. I guess this is a perfect timing for him because he knows this current administration is lifting up the call for war crimes. So yeah, kudos to him. He probably will help the process. I don't know to what extent. We have yet to see. Like I said earlier, I think he underestimates overestimates his ability to influence people and influence change. Yes, he was chairman of CDC for a long time, but what did he really do when he was chairman of CDC? They lost so many elections. Couldn't click with the stand-up barrier, and all those stuff. So let's see how far he goes. I was hoping that he would announce his code of officers by now. He would have announced them, so we'll see the people working with him and see how they'll influence. But hey, if he's gonna be one additional voice added to the standing up or the war and economic crimes court, I think that's a good thing for the country.
Jimmy, should we take Mobile Molu seriously?
Well, he will have to form alliances.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I know. About once upon a time, he had some great. He carried a whole group to help Costa get out of jail when Ellen put him in jail. They went and stood for him. So he's lost a lot of traction with the seditionists because of what is it branded as the drinking, what they can call it?
Liquor talk?
The liquor talk. He lost a lot of traction because of liquor talk. And I know he felt stabbed in the back. I don't know how well has he recovered. But if this is going to make a significant move, he will have to rebrand himself, one. And he also will have to form some good alliances. But I'm waiting to see how if this whole movement will gain any traction. Okay, so it's championing something that people have been talking about, the war crime code, but the war crime code has been dragging for a while, and we haven't seen since it's been 20 years, right? And we still haven't seen any action on it. So I think he should have championed something along with maybe that so that his movement will gain traction. But I'm sure he would need some alliances before he starts going anywhere. So it's going to be interesting, especially that he will be out of the CDC. I understand he's still part of the CDC, but we got a lot to see yet. I wouldn't bet on it, but I'm going to still hold my reservations against it, though.
You are muted.
There seems to be traction and war crimes code may be coming. So is Molu trying to jump ahead of the line here to benefit?
Let me jump into this. I want you to save this tip. There will be no war crime court in Liberia. You can take that to the bank. Let me tell you, I think Molu is doing a great calculation here. Usually in politics, we say to what end? The end here is job. Molu is looking for a job. And the job is not in the Boakai administration, it's not anywhere else but in the House or the Senate. Molu is looking at going into the House where he's going to be employed beyond the reach of any executive. That's why if you notice that he's saying now he's non-political, he's not attached to any, so now his tentacles is now growing further, that whenever he announces in his district that he's running, he's going to run as an independent, And now he gets some disgruntled unity partisan, liberty partisan, sedition, and he gets his justify his end, which is the House. Nothing else. Moreover, Molu cannot influence the establishment of War and Economic Crime Court. It is a political hot topic for the base. It's in America they call it red meat. But the War and Economic Crime Court especially the War Crime Court that these people are talking about, for the War Crime Court to be established, you have to look at those who were the major players in this war of Liberia. Ellen Johnson is an obstacle to establishing a war court in Liberia. I don't care how you turn it. This has the Nobel Peace Prize organization hand all into it. This had a woman being the only first president on the republic in the.
You don't think that's conspiracy again? You are going.
No, this is not a conspiracy. I am telling you, these are the things that would not make this possible. Joe, we have talked about it. They ran with it. Everybody ran with it. We all clapped for it. Everybody cheered for it. And went nowhere. What did he do? He wrote the legislative body and said, "You guys advise how to do it." What did Joseph Boakai do? They sent a resolution.
Can you trust Mamba Molu this time? Can you trust him? With Stan, what he says he's going to do.
No, this is what I'm telling you. This is not about Stan advocating for anything. This is Moluba Molu bringing himself to the middle, where if he put up a SOL call, he is not going to rely on sedition anymore. Now he's into the center where he can draw from anywhere else and get into the House, or possibly in the Senate, because he knows he cannot go into the House as a sedition all by himself. So what do? You come in the middle and you disengage. This is what it is. I don't think Joseph Boakai is going to appoint him for a job or anything else. What does he get? Even if there were war crime court established today, what does he get out of it? Nothing. So he's positioning himself for a run, for a job. I mean, you should be able to see this.
Thank you. Now, my final question is, with everything that we've said, today, President Boakai's administration is 2 months old. So within the context of everything we've discussed, how is the government doing, Victor?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think right now the net negatives are more than their positives. On the positive side, they have a budget, although the budget does not address quite a lot, but at least they have a budget. They are releasing plans to erect the War and Economics Crime Court, even though my brother Jerome believes it's not gonna happen. They have also set up the asset recovery program. That's a plus. But then there's so many negatives. The way they roll out the government, and they continue to do that even 2 months in, is just baffling. Like I said earlier, this is a president who is supposed to be the most experienced at the time in the field of all candidates that were in the running, and yet they came out and they're still grappling with all these problems. The president doesn't seem to be in control. They're appointing one person, 2 people to one job, or one person to 2 different jobs. They appointing and then unappointing. Announcing orders and then unannouncing. So it just seems to me like the learning curve is unnecessarily too long. Someone who came in to have so much experience, that really confuses a lot of us. But hopefully they will eventually get on track. Where they are, relative to the 100 days, I think they will. Then 100 days would have come and gone without very much started, let alone achieved. My evaluation would be, probably a D minus. That is being more generous. on the scale of F to A to A, D minus.
Mr. Gaiman, with 40 days left in a 100 days deliverable, and I think that's just a plan, so you can do something else. But how is the president and how President Boakai's administration doing so far?
Uh,
Steve, I don't know what you're going to say.
yeah, this administration is performing very poorly. It was so comical in the international community when Abachi said he gave this administration 80% because they had done basically everything they said they wanted to do. It was so comical. But I'll go back to Anthony Kessley and you guys again. I said that 200 plus years.
Yep. Abachi, the former president, pro tem?
Yes. When you have the combined experience, what was being sold to us, these people were coming to make these things right. Let's look at President Weah doing his inaugural speech. On that day, he appointed almost the top of his people, and we saw that in this new administration, they are still appointing folks. The government is now fully formed, and they are telling us to wait and let everything come together. So when you look at what they have done, from the budget to security, we saw what happened in Cape Mount. People lost their lives. We have not heard the president speak to the nation. We have not heard anything about investigation. We saw they say power theft. The gentleman was murdered there, killed by the security. Nobody have said anything. So here we are, when you're talking about security in the state, we are talking about unemployment. We are talking about lack of electricity. The president went to the Ivory Coast. Why did he go to the Ivory Coast? He never spoke to the nation. Why did he go to Ghana? He had never spoken to the nation. In fact, when you look at his budget, he said foreign travel is basically zero. According to Martin Colley, he's not going to marry men outside the country. The foreign travel budget is basically nothing. So that tells you that Boakai does not plan to leave the country to do whatsoever. So this is poor. There's nowhere else I can say. Nothing else is very poor.
Thank you. Let me go to Jimmy. Jimmy, before I get to you, this is Friday Night Debate. If you want to join the conversation, please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Right now, everything that we see is remnants of the past administration. These guys haven't been here long enough to institute policies, institute regulations, put in motion certain things to justify or to claim any benefit. Everything that's being done, even the budget is actually a reflection of the past administration, because whether the payrolls are padded, whether the projects were realized in the past, all that is all inherited. So it is very early to really tell what. I do hear some sound bites. I know. I see Mr. Wallow is here with all the sound bites, the war crimes code, the asset recovery, but we haven't seen it materialize. And until we see it materialize and we see the results of their actions, that is when we'll be able to assess. But for right now, it's all sound bites. So it's what they inherited, the budget, whatever it is all part of the last administration. But if they don't put any policies in place this year and it stays the same, or if they do put policies in place and change some rules and we see new results, that is the time to assess them. But right now, it's really remnants of the past administration at this point until they make changes. It's just the same.
Let me ask this, and this is for all of us. Is it out of the realm of possibility that this president, 2 months in, has not visited any kind of major foreign capital? Not DC, not Tokyo, not London, not Paris, you know.
But that it's kind of early, right? You
Yeah,
don't think
to do what? He went to Accra, he went to Abidjan.
Okay.
But there's a comment here that I want to share. Thomas Johnson said, I think it means Dennis, but he said, Denise, you really have no experience or the educational background to critique Weah. Talking about Judge, as in Judge Weah. You have no executive or leadership knowledge compared to Weah. So what I did is, let's find a video of Judge Weah showing this knowledge and executive leadership.
I put on the goods because in economics we talk about people's needs and wants. When rent is expensive, when you know that you have a shortfall in the budget, then reduce the rent so those who are that not even working but making ends meet can buy. So when the shortfall, we cannot again support scarcity. You understand?
All right. That's President Weah, who is discussing scarcity and shortfalls. And so Thomas Johnson, that's your answer.
Is that Weahonomics?
But Mr. Johnson is right. Mr.
There we go. Oh my goodness, Jerome, really?
I've been a president of a nation, so he has more of that than you do.
Oh no, let's read it again. He said he has more education, his educational background, his experience, and his executive and leadership knowledge. Where is that?
Well, the man had double. He's a doctor. Are you a
doctor?
doctor?
No, doctor.
Yeah, are you doctor? Anyway,
at least I know what scarcity is.
Did you say there's a difference between doctor and doctor?
Yes, he's a double doctor.
All right, let's bring in our callers here, and let's welcome our man Evan Morris. Evan, you're welcome.
What happened to Flomo, man?
Thank you.
I don't know.
And hello to the panelists. Let me give you a strong fact. You already know this. You have the educational, experience. You beat George Weah in it. For the young children in America, they got a new word. They call it race. George Weah has the political race. And that word is short for charisma. He has the charisma. So you have some charisma, but George Weah beyond the charisma. That's why he became president of Liberia. But that guy, I think he's talking about that. We all know our former president is challenged when it comes to certain issues, articulation and be able to articulate complex,
leader one. Let's go to today's topic
for the president. So we'll give you that. But I wanted to say something that I think a lot of people have missed, and it brought back some troubling things from the war. This whole Prince Johnson situation, there was a tape that leaked where he was talking about Samuel Koga and Yan Twain. He said that this guy is conniving. Well, bro, we say kidnapping. He's conniving with the UP party so they can bring war crimes to Liberia. And we know a lot of people die whenever they mention that word, especially the people who are in these rebel groups, or even civilian, when they say, this person is conniving with the enemy, that's a death sentence for you. So when Prince Johnson brought that up in that conversation, it really brought, some bad flashback during the war where people would just be accused of being in connivance with the enemy, and then bloop, they're dead. They killed them because somebody is plotting against them. I think that was something that we missed in that conversation. But the whole situation with Prince Johnson, I think we all want to see the war crimes court. And I made a comment during the show. All the great, smart people that Nimba County produced, great men, people who are doing very well in business, people who are well educated, but they kowtow to Prince Johnson. For what reason, I don't know. Are they afraid that he's going to kill them? Because people, Prince Johnson himself has bragged that the traditional people have given him so much power that anybody that go against him, they either become handicapped or they die. So maybe these guys know that there's something, real to that statement, that they can't challenge him, even on the physical or the metaphysical level. So most of them try to stay away from him and just capitulate to his whims. So we can't say anything too much about Prince Johnson and Nimba. I think he has a chokehold on Nimba, and it's not going to go well until maybe the day he's in jail or the day he passed. This whole situation with President Boakai and this, this lawlessness that we continue to see. The situation that happened today with Yekta Koluba, where he had a press conference and was showing vouchers that was given to him by the executive, the Minister of State office, to go buy furniture. and I think Yeager was wrong in the way he made his presentation, because I think on the voucher, it wasn't saying that this was free money. I think it was like $4,500 US dollars that was given to them to go to this Lebanese man furniture store and pretty much shop. And then on the voucher, it said that this money would be taken from your salary. So almost like borrowing money. I don't know if he even understood that, but he was trying to make it seem as if the Ministry of Presidential Affairs was giving them, $4,500 bribe to pretty much go shopping for furniture. But in fact, on the voucher, it said that it would be taken against your salary. It's almost like you borrow that money and then the people will recoup that money back from your salary. I think that's what I saw on the voucher. But instead, you're trying to make it seem like the executive are trying to bribe him. But this whole situation that happened with that lady being fired, Mr. Jai, we all saw the video. It was embarrassing. And we knew that these guys, being as vindictive as they were going to say, okay, we'll come out later. We know that they were going to do something behind the scene to punish that woman. And this was the punitive action that they took. They put her in the president's ear that woman being disrespectful to cause embarrassment to them. And by approximation, the president. So they were all embarrassed and they had to fire her. And like Mr. Nimba rightfully said, that woman will get her little, parachute, and she will get a handsome payday at the end of the day at the expense of this Boakai government, who is being too sensitive on issues when it comes to this senior position. I'll leave it there for now, Mr. John. Thank you for taking my call. I'll leave it right there.
Thank you. And on the Prince Johnson thing, I mean, a lot of discussion is being held about Prince Johnson and Nimba County. But one explanation that I think makes sense to me is that Prince Johnson is only reading the political tea leaf and going where the people are. Prince Johnson actually is not making anybody to do anything. So he sees where people, the people are going, and he jumps on that side and make it look like he's causing it. But I do not believe that he has any sway over Nimba County, that wherever he points there, where Nimba County goes. I don't believe that. Well, gentlemen, we can conclude now. Let's get your closing. Mr. Gaiman, you go first.
Good. Thank you very much. Great show, Mr. Nami and our statesman, Mr. Eastman. We want to make sure here, when I talked about war crime court is not coming to Liberia, I think Mr. Dennis Jato was a conspiracy. But first of all, no one.
You said Ellen is standing against war crimes court.
Yeah, but listen, no entity in Liberia has the power to establish a court. Only the legislative branch of the government can establish a court. So
are you joining stand with Malu?
We talk about constitutional issue here. Nobody. The Constitution gave that exclusive right to the legislative body. Joseph Boakai, no president, no entity can establish a court. If they're going to be a war crime court, it has to be done by the international community on their own accord and somewhere else. 2, asset recovery is a legal branch, another extra branch of government that needs to be established by law. You cannot do it by proclamation or by resolution. So those 2 things I just told you, Mr. Denija, you are a tactician when it comes to numbers. That's your area. A year from today, mark this date. A year from today, on the anniversary of this day, we will be here talking about War and Economic Crime Court.
Yeah,
a year from today. I want you to mark that. Thank you very much.
War crime court takes time. So, sometimes, Mr. Nagwe.
Yeah, Jerome, thank you very much, Dennis, rather. And thanks to Jerome and Jimmy here. I think we had a good show. Thanks to the interactive audience as well. And don't mind Mr. Thomas Johnson or whatever who he is, if that's his real name, But great show. The budget, I have always said I'm still waiting to see this president make a bold move. I think the walk around code thing probably was an attempt to do that, but the budget could have been another bold statement he could have made. It is his maiden budget. It was his opportunity to make his first impression. They brought a budget that kind of fell third and flat on the ground. the fact that they're even able to go back and revise it tells me there were the probabilities that they could have explored to come big. As president, you have to go big. Yes, I know the budget shortfall and all of that, but if they release a budget of $692 million, how then are they able to find money to revise the budget to $750 million, whatever it is? So there are lots of little very, very unexplainable rookie errors that they're making, and 2 months in now, and they can't seem to get it right. So hopefully they will eventually get it right. But this budget, it doesn't tell us anything. It really doesn't. It doesn't make any statement. There's no way to say, let me follow the money on this side and see where it is going to take me. Little increase here to health, education here and there. But what is the seminar? What is the program that we say, okay, this is what Boakai is trying to achieve here? Not on drugs, not health, not education, not even the roads. There's not much in there. So relative to what is possible, So I'm really eager to give them the praise where it's necessary, but it is becoming more and more difficult for me. I know Mr. Wallo keeps saying, the next week will get better. He has even stopped saying that now. I think he said now doesn't believe in that assertion anymore, because no week has really been better. Yeah, a little mix of good news there, but too much bad news. So they need to hurry up and get it right already. Time is running out. A lot of people who are suffering in Liberia, they could use the relief now, like yesterday. Thank you very much again. Great show.
Thank you, Jimmy.
So I think we need to revisit how and why we do certain things so we can come up with a better way of doing it. And that applies to everything. The electricity problem in the country, almost everything. For instance, this budget. Okay, I think it was totally unfair that a brand new administration has to decide what the budget would be. You have not had time to make assessments. You have not had time to even look at the payroll and see who's functioning, who's not functioning. You haven't had the chance to do any of these things, and you're asking to do a budget. I think we need to revisit the submission of the budget so that a brand new administration does not have to go through this. This is unfair.
No, but Jimmy, let me remind you, the outgoing government put out a budget and they said no.
That budget, I agree with you. It was, first of all, it was late. It was very late in coming. It should have, and it was, and that even broke the law. The law is that they have.
That's got to do with our year now. The fiscal year is January to December, and now the president takes seat January 22nd.
And he got to do a budget. It's not correct. It's not correct. We need to. There's so many things that we are doing. I don't want to repeat this insanity thing, but you're doing the same thing over and over again. We need to come up with a different way. Look at the power situation in the country. We knew very well when we made the dam, we call that run of river. We needed a reservoir. Why did we plan this, and we're just continuing this old plan that has not been working for decades? Everything that we do, that is why we need thinkers. We didn't need people who would just repeat what the last administration, what the true power are doing, you're doing the same thing. What the administration were doing, you're doing the same thing. We don't need that. We need people who would conceptualize and bring new ideas, new way of doing things. We have the capacity to revisit the way we do things and see what needs to be changed and enhanced so we perform better. But if we're going to simply do as the past administration, then we'll just see more of the same. Nothing's going to change in Liberia until we have revolutionary people who know how to revolutionize the way we do things, and then we'll have different outcomes. But until then, we're going to have much of the same.
And the fix is simple, Jimmy. When we win, we need to forget about rewarding our cronies. Go for the talent. Bring in the people because they can do the work. Don't bring in the people walking the poo water because they're walking poo water.
Exactly. Now, yeah, I know that that's hard to say because you wouldn't be where you are. But if you want the work done, you have to bring in the people who have the minds
Absolutely.
to do it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for tonight. I want to thank our viewers for watching. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, we end with a song that says, whether you believe or Boakai is doing phenomenal or not, we are all Liberians. Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is